Okay, time to talk about factoring by grouping. Looking at something like this, we got four terms. What we're going to do is factor these two things separately. We've kind of done this a little bit already. I'm going to factor out an A here. I'm sorry, an X. And over here, I'm going to factor out the Y. Well, then, now I've got a common term, or a commonality between the terms. I can factor out the A plus B. And so it's going to become A plus B times X plus Y. That's just a pattern, just to kind of memorize, kind of remember. Okay, so putting it to work. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take this one. Here, I'm going to factor out a 9x squared. So that would leave me with x plus 6. And here, I'm going to factor out a 4. And that would leave me with x plus 6. Well, now I'm going to factor out the x plus 6 and put it on the outside. And then what's left is 9x squared plus 4. And that's it. Now, the thing you want to be careful of is when you get down to the end, check that this can be factored again. That's going to come up a few times. We're going to have multiple different types of factoring going on. Okay. Give these a try and see what you get, and come back and check your answers. All right, first thing I'm going to do is take these two and factor out x squared and x plus 4. Then I'm going to factor out a 6 from these two, 6x plus 4. And now I'm going to factor out the x plus 4. Okay, over here, same thing. I'm going to factor out an x squared here. I think I'm going to cover myself up here. I'm going to do it up here. So on this one, I want you to think about this. Negative 15x minus 105. I'm going to factor out the negative 15 and get x minus 7, or plus 7, sorry, because that's going to change that sign. So again, factoring out the x plus 7, it's that. This is where I always get weary. I see x squared minus a number. I want to do the difference of squares, but 15 is not a perfect square. Just keep an eye out for that. Okay, over here, now I'm going to factor out x squared and get 3x plus 7. And here, same thing, let's factor out a negative 25. And I would get 3x plus 7. Now I'm going to factor out the x plus 7. Now we need to recognize this is the difference of squares. This is x squared minus 5 squared. So we get x plus 7 times x plus 5 times x minus 5. Okay, let me go over one other example of this where it gets even more long-winded. It's something like this. Now we're going to factor 3 terms at a time. My problem is I see 2, 3, and 12. Numerically, I can't get those together, but here over here, 18, 5, and 30 also have nothing that can factor between them. But basically, if I switch out the 5x squared and the 12x squared and move them around, I'm going to have some commonalities. And the reason I want to do that I've got an x squared in common here, which I already had before. But now this second set, I can factor out of 2. I could actually factor out of 6, couldn't I? So this part, I'm going to factor out just x squared and get 2x squared minus 3x minus 5, which is something we can factor. And over here, I'm going to factor out 6. So plus 6, 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. So in other words, if you can't factor the first 3 things, the second 3 things, and they don't work out, try moving the numbers around. All we did was we moved the negative 5x over here in between. Okay, so we get that. Well, now what I'm going to factor out is the trinomial. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 3x minus 5 times x squared plus 6. Well, I have a good old-fashioned trinomial. I need to try to work it out. In my head, I try to brute force this. I look at what multiplies to 2x. Well, it's going to be 2x squared and x. And then for 5, all I've got is 1 and 5. So remember, though, I need this times this plus this times this to equal negative 3. Well, if I put, 1 here and 5 here, that's going to give me 10x and 1x. I can't get that to negative 3, so let's not do that. It's got to be the other way around. So I had tried 1 and 5. Let's try 5 and 1. So this would give me 2x, and this would give me 5x. I want it to be that, because I want it to add to negative 3x. So it's going to be the 2x plus 1 has to be plus, and the 5 times x has to be minus. Now, let's run through the way, so this is what that's going to factor to. If that way works for you, great. If you need to do the AC method, we're going to look at multiplying a and c, and then figuring out, so AC equals 2 times negative 5, which equals negative 10. Okay? And now I need 2 numbers that multiply to negative 10, but add to negative 3, and that's going to be 2 and negative 5 again. So weirdly, we just keep using the same numbers. So I'm going to break up the minus 3x. I want to keep the 2's together, so that means because just 2x minus 5x is negative 3x. And now I can do that factoring by grouping here. I can factor out an x and get 2x. I can factor out 2x and get x plus 1. And here I can factor out negative 5 and get x plus 1. So now factor out the x plus 1. X plus 1 times 2x minus 5 times x squared plus 6. And there is factoring by grouping. Good luck.